We've got a lot to discuss today, but really quickly, self-plug, our watch party tomorrow. We'll get things started 30 minutes before kickoff, so come tailgate with us. Then we'll have a watch party for the Broncos 49ers preseason game. So if you have never tuned in for a watch party before, it's a blast. Make sure you join us tomorrow night. Now, let's get started by talking about Jaleel McLaughlin, the UDFA out of Youngstown State, who, if you have been subscribed for a while, you would know this was someone to have on your radar going into training camp. And now we're getting some comps to Alvin Kamara, Reggie Bush. Here's what the man in charge, Sean Payton, said. Over the years, we've had kind of a joker player in Reggie Bush and Darren Sproles and Alvin Kamara. Those guys are running backs, and yet they do some other things in the passing game that gives them that tag. You could call it a change of pace type player. Certainly, Jaleel McLaughlin is one of those candidates where he's had a different style runner. So, do we have an Alvin Kamara and Jaleel McLaughlin? I don't think you can actually make that apples to apples comparison. Ignore the type of season that Kamara had in his breakout rookie year where he scored 13 touchdowns and he had over 15 or nearly 15 all-purpose yards. But the play style, I don't think, is nearly eye to eye as well. Now, the casuals are not going to know who McLaughlin is going into the regular season. But the dude stock is rising. I don't think it's rising to a point where it's going to be like a Arian Foster. Who is that? Where did he come from breakout year? Or Alvin Kamara? But I do think that he's going to become, I wouldn't say a household name in Denver throughout the 2023 season, but I do believe he's going to have some really important touches. He's going to make some important plays for this team, and he's going to go into 2024. Well, I'll save that for my hot take at the end of the show. But look at Denver's running back room, and we're kind of just all assuming he makes the 53-man roster at this point, and maybe Denver surprises us and he just goes to the practice squad. But I believe he has earned a 53-man roster spot, especially with the slight uncertainty regarding Javonte Williams. I don't want to say he's 100% back and he's going to be ready to go for 17 games because we have seen running backs come back from serious injuries like J.K. Dobbins and like Saquon Barkley. And that first year back had some missed time, but Samaje Perine, Tyler Beatty, those are serviceable backs. But McLaughlin, the guy is a highlight reel. He is a change of pace back to a whole nother level. He's the NCAA all-time rushing yards leader across all three divisions. I think he's a very special player, someone that I talked about back when they claimed him as a UDFA as, hey, he's a really good player at a position of need for Denver at running back. Keep an eye on this guy, and here we are now getting ready for the second preseason game, and I think he's going to make a lot of noise, and I don't know if he'll be an Alvin Kamara. I don't think he will be. I don't think he'll have that type of impact in his rookie season, but I do think he can bring a lot of spark plays and big chunk yardage and just game-changing ability, even with a little impact in terms of the amount of carries and touches he gets on the field. But are you all in on McLaughlin? Let me know. Type I for in, type O for out. I'm in. This is someone that if it doesn't work out and he ends up having zero impact on this team, I'll be surprised. And I'll be one to raise my hand and go, I got that one wrong. I got way too drunk off of preseason Kool-Aid. But I think this hype warrants the production we're going to see in the regular season. So mark me down as a believer for number 38. Now, next up on the show, I want to talk about Randy Gregory and whether or not there will be a breakout season, if you will, a season where he looks like a guy who got paid $70 million just last offseason. Here's what Randy Gregory had to say talking about this upcoming season. My thing is fulfilling my end of the agreement. A big part of that is being available and healthy, so a lot of that was off-season rehabbing. I feel like going out there for 17 games plus and do what I need to do. So, some background information super quick on Randy Gregory. He signed that 5-year, $70 million contract, $28 million guaranteed, which more or less made it a 2-year, $28 million contract. Now, this is the first time as a Bronco he's completely healthy, meaning last year Denver signed him, and he immediately had shoulder surgery and knee surgery done. He had the knee surgery done beforehand, the shoulder surgery done afterwards. So, for the first time, he's actually coming into Broncos training camp, and he's not coming off surgery from a few months ago. Now, unfortunately for Gregory, his career has Well, it's never been smooth sailing. Whether it was suspensions or injuries, he's yet to really come close to playing a full season. 2018 was as close as it got. He played 14 games, but you can see that throughout his NFL career, he has played in less than 50% of available games. So for Gregory, it's just about getting on the field for once and playing a full season start to finish, which I was hopeful when they signed him that could happen because Denver knew about the shoulder surgery, but clearly it was a little too soon for him to come back from that knee surgery because he was quickly put on IR 4 games into last year. If you look at his body of work from 2022, he played 6 games, and if we could go full screen, Rolly, I've got some more stuff to say on this because this was a signing that when it was made, I was pretty upbeat about. I was optimistic that, hey, Randy Gregory had some issues with staying on the field due to, Stephen A. get off the weed. He couldn't do that. He kept getting suspended. But now that the NFL had lightened their ruling on substance abuse and things like that, it was a good reason to believe, hey, Gregory, he's going to give us a full season, and we're going to see what he can do in a full season. But then he got injured, and injuries suck. And Denver kind of knew he had a bad injury history going into that signing. But what really ticked me off about Gregory, and the reason why I have been very pessimistic about Randy Gregory this upcoming season, is the way he came back from that injury. It was that first game, Christmas Day, against the Rams, and he's getting in scuffles at midfield, down by 100 points. What are we doing, dude? You just missed the whole season, a disaster of a season, and that's the way you want to come back? You want to start getting into fights with Rams players? Like, he's been talked about as someone who loves the game and everything, but I didn't see it there. So that really irked me, and that really bugged me the wrong way. And then I more or less have been someone that's been in the non-believer camp for Randy Gregory having this huge impactful season and living up to the contract because not only did he miss a ton of time last year, but when he did come back, getting in fights the first game, like that's not what you want to see out of a guy you gave $70 million to. Now, what I do want to see is everyone watching right now get started with our sportsbook partner, BetUS. Go to chatsports.com/bet. Promo code Broncos125. When you put that information in, you get a 125% deposit bonus. Now, in layman's terms, let's say you deposit $100. They're going to match that $100 and then give you an extra $25 because they love you so much. So make sure you make BetUS your official sportsbook partner for this entire upcoming season. Now, let's go back in time a little bit for a moment. Why did Denver give Randy Gregory that 5-year, $70 million contract? Well, when you look at his 2021 numbers, 4 tackles for loss, 6 sacks, 29 pressures, 3 forced fumbles, those are good numbers. I don't think those are numbers that your average NFL fan would go, yeah, that's someone $70 million, no doubt about it. But the reason why Denver was in a bidding war with the Cowboys for Randy Gregory and why he got such a big contract is because of what he could do if he played a full season, right? The belief of if you prorate his numbers from 2021 over the course of a 17-game season, you're getting a guy who comes up just shy of 10 sacks, over 4 forced fumbles, but most importantly, 41 pressures. Now, I don't want to nerd out with you guys here, but I think pressures is kind of like the OPS equivalent of batting average and sacks in the NFL, where, yes, everyone wants to look at sacks, just like everyone wants to look at batting average. But if you want to look a step deeper, pressures, right? How often does a player disrupt a play on offense and force an incompletion or an interception, a bad throw, which honestly can be just as good as a sack because it's a loss of down. And that is a huge win that, yes, just because it goes down as 2nd and 10 to 3rd and 10, you don't get credit for a sack, but you ruin that whole play for the offense. And they only get so many plays in the game. So for a player to come with 41 pressures over a year, you can see that would put you top 5 in the NFL. And that would have you in the same conversation as Micah Parsons, Matthew Judon, some of the best edge rushers in our league. And so that's what Denver was investing in. They wanted to get that guy, the guy who could get 41 pressures if he played a full season, which would be top 5 in the league last year. So it's not a question of talent for Randy Gregory, right? It's not a question of can he break out and finally have that talented season that we've been looking for? No, he's got the talent. It's can he play a full season? You get that availability out of him. And my favorite tagline is the best ability, availability. And that's what we're waiting to see. So what are your thoughts? Will Randy Gregory live up to the contract? And as he put it in his own words, it's about 17 plus games, right? Can he be available for this team and then produce? Because we know the stats are there. If I'm told right now Randy Gregory is going to play 17 games this year, the guy's getting over 10 sacks, and he's going to be top 5 in pressures. Because we saw that even in a small sample size last year before he went down with that knee injury 4 weeks into the year. But unfortunately, I just don't see 17 games coming. I would love to be proven wrong, but how can I stand here honestly other than just gaslighting you guys just to be a mouthpiece for this team and a rah-rah sports commentator and say, of course he's playing 17 games. Oh, I had no reason to believe that. He's never done it before in his NFL career. He's never played more than 14 games. All of a sudden, I'm supposed to believe this is the year he plays 17? Maybe. But I can't confidently say that's going to happen. In fact, I would say he's probably not going to play 17 games because he's never done it before. So, unfortunately, for that reason, I'm not as in on Randy Gregory as your average Joe may be because they just want to believe it. And I don't blame them for that, right? It's way more fun to live in that world. I want to live in that world. But I'm trying to stay in reality here. And the reality is he's never done it before, and I don't think he's going to do it again this year. Now, before we get on out of here, I got some news to report on, and that is the snow cap games, the Broncos alternate helmets we saw 2-3 weeks ago. Well, they will be wearing them twice this season against the Jets Week 5 and against the Patriots Week 16. And congratulations to the 2023 Denver Broncos. They are 2-0 before the season starts. You do not lose games with those helmets. I feel bad for the Jets and the Patriots. They are wasting their weekends. They are flying across the country just to fly right back with an L because the Broncos have the snow caps. They're awesome. The helmets are sick. They are legit. They are must-win games. And so, luckily for Payton, he definitely pulled some strings after the comments he made about Hackett. He was like, well, I need to make Week 5 a must-win. How can I do that? Snow cap helmets. Done deal. We're 1-0 already. To wrap up the show, we have a few more weeks, 2-3 weeks until the regular season gets here, and that's when our summer hot takes will retire. It is a scorcher in Denver today, 96 degrees. So this had to be an extra spicy first take hot take, and I think this one meets that criteria. Jaleel McLaughlin comes into 2024 training camp competing for the starting job. I don't know if I truly believe that in my heart of hearts, but I do believe that he comes out of this season, rest assured, as this team's RB2 at minimum. That I actually can get behind. I know it's just preseason hype, but I think it's legit. I think the guy might be the real deal in terms of buying in for preseason highlights and then being disappointed in the regular season when you never see him, or when you do see him, he gets like 4 carries and for 5 yards. No, I think you might really have a star in the making with the former Youngstown State, whatever they are, and Jaleel McLaughlin.